Freedom is one of the most precious possessions we have. We live in a country that's free. Freedom is free. Yeah, we're free. And many people have given their lives, given their limbs, their eyes, so that we could be free in this country. More like the king, go back, free. But do we really know what freedom is? Freedom. Could it be that we have traded one form of slavery for another while thinking that we've been free? In our passage this morning, it is not the soldier or our U.S. Constitution that ultimately secures our freedom. It is the truth which will set us free. The truth will set you free. And so has the Son set you free? In the passage we discover that probably Satan's most effective tool is to make people think that they are free, when in fact they are slaves. This should cause us to be alert, attentive, because we live in a society that idolizes freedom. But could it be that we are choosing to be children of Satan and not even know it? In this passage this morning, who is Jesus talking to? Verse 31 tells us that Jesus is talking to Jews who believe in him. This sounds good. This sounds great, right? Jews who believe. Because many Jews, after all, many Jews weren't following Jesus. But as we listen to this passage later on, we find that Jesus is calling these Jews who are following him children of the devil. And in the end, in verse 59, these Jews get so angry at Jesus that they pick up stones to stone him. They pick up to back that Jesus 當作就猶大人稱耶穌他。很多英雄就話，路西很大，注目就猶大中稱耶穌。但是頭被人指望耶穌係帶咗猶大我，又單止用咗你我。頭個來報答咗耶穌，來聽所報嘅有冇耶穌多。This is scare us so much. Here are believers, those who were interested in Jesus, those who saw his miracles. Yet, just in a little while, they were ready to stone him. Why? Do you guys know your John Jane? Papa Yesu John Zuti. This is two plus. You know why? Because Jesus accused them of being slaves. Being slaves. Jesus did not come into this world to impress people. He came into this world to set people free from the clutches of Satan. Many of us are believers, but could we get so angry with Jesus that we would want to stone him? 比較準正，就是呢個包帶做耶穌，嗱耶穌我到邊包帶係啲什麼嚟講？ As soon as Jesus suggested to these people that they were not free, they got angry. 頭耶穌係做咗呢啲嘢嘅來整到底，來特別包帶人。 They said, "We are children of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone." 嗱係嘅，俾說到我們要亞伯拉罕嘅聖子，佢俾人知道我們要起來。 That might be, they might have been slaves in their bodies, but never in their souls. And if we look throughout histories at the Jewish people, this is true. The Jews at this very time, right, that Jesus was talking to them, were enslaved to the Romans. And yet it was impossible for the Romans to get the Jewish people to surrender to the Roman way of life. In Egypt, they were slaves, yet their souls and spirits could not be bound. Thus, the Jews claimed that as children of Abraham, they were free. 就係你以色列人咗猶大佬，但是我過去我睇咗係你羅民份，但是就係你羅民已控制到咗係你猶大嘅以色列人，我來於你嚟做羅民做，就係你猶大撒拉哈達來有亞伯拉罕嘅名用來 free. Yet Jesus saw that they were not truly free. They were slaves to the law. Their Sabbath rituals, right? Their Sabbath regulations made that day a burden to them instead of a celebration. And Jesus was talking about the difficult burden and the heavy yoke that the leaders placed on the people. Jesusบอกให้แกเรายิ่งต้องปลีกแท้ๆเราเคยจะต้องใจ ถ้าตัวนู้ชอจะทักจ่อมั่วจ่อเกี่ยใจเป็นดาวเราโอยคนจางหนึ่งอย่างจะตัวไหน Not only that, they were slaves to sin. แล้วโอเคจะต้องเกี่ยชาไม่有主保แค่保證做很多 This is what they and we need to realize. They thought that they could choose Jesus, or they thought that they could choose what was right, good, and moral. But they, just like we, are slaves to sin until we have been set free. And until we're set free, our choices will always be in bondage to sin. This is big soul and soul too. It's just like a person sitting in jail, right? This person might make the choice to eat at McDonald's, but to exercise that choice, he needs to be set free. If we are interested in real freedom, we need to ask ourselves of every choice we make, if we're making it as one who is free or one who is still enslaved to sin. 若俾想到這幾啲嘅，俾有住弄俾啲傾，寫俾背要啲內我啲嘅，但是俾不淨我這幾層嘅。Maybe a way that we can use to examine ourselves would be our anger. You know, how angry do you get when someone confronts you about your habits, about your practice, your speech, your ideas, your plans? Here are people who believe in Jesus, but were not aware that they were really Satan's children because they refused to be set free by Jesus. cho yu da no yo cha jen yesu de shi lai tu chi pa ha te la yang ta chi no ju nyo te te cho ka la chi ka chi yesu cha lo di. Like many people, they believe that they don't really need to be changed, to be transformed. They think that on their own, they can make good, right decisions, that they are free. Yeah, like Zhong Lei, like Sa like Chi Tang Feng, like the king, like O Dao Zhong Lai, like Chi Ni Ji Yesu. We get angry when anyone, including Jesus, tells us that we're not free, that we're in bondage to something. Being about the your morning do, how to get the bed you free, bed okay to or something, okay to something. Just imagine a couple who chooses not to have children because of lifestyle, right? Of lifestyle desires. Are they free or are they slaves to pleasure and things? Yeah, the more easy or 其实莫名有比该也做给了些，该不 free， 那是该不 OK 就做给了些。And you can imagine the anger you would get for even raising that question. That they're bondage to, their desires, their lifestyle. 一個弄改令改，change改用包大型就夠。You begin to understand the anger the Jews were getting, had. Right? Jesus was telling them that they were enslaved to something, to the law, to the devil. Jesus said, everyone who has sinned, or everyone who sinned is a slave to sin. But the Son has come to set you free, to set you and me free. 非有主干。我被主靠耶稣转入好路上，耶穌係嘅左條我頭，我呢我作幾頭氣，特別有主證，特別有主證嘅耶穌到了做 baby. As the people of Israel had been set free from the land of slavery and were able to enter the promised land, so we have been set free through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. 我知道就係你以色列地的非常一致，冇要做非常我知道做不切，依樣領導耶穌到做 baby， 頭你到聽俾就到靠你。And as the people of Israel were never to forget, always to remember by telling the stories to their children, we also are not to forget. As we celebrate the Lord's Supper, as we pray, as we reflect, we are to remember what Christ has done to set us free. 依樣領導係你，依樣領導係你醫生你。嗱，因一次種種在頭關注在裏邊嘅非常意見，比如種種每一次作耶穌都會到做俾你聽，頭俾都 OK， 頭俾頭關注 OK， 頭俾控告，就俾種種耶穌。So how can you know that you are free?